games, as Anthony Slater wrote about. Who Anthony Slater, when he's on the stream, does give strong Roman Reigns
I've been
vibes.
saying it.
Roman Reigns.
He got a little Roman Reigns to him.
A little longer hair.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it's the facial hair.
A little tribal chief to him.
Maybe 100 less pounds of muscle too. I mean, I'll take it, but he's like a
right.
WWE superstar, right?
Anthony Slater of The Athletic wrote about the things that he's seen so far this season. You've been all over the Kings so far this year. And who knew of the two teams that you would be covering? It is the Sacramento Kings that are the exciting squad of the two. Your biggest takeaway of the 10 lessons you learned. What's your biggest takeaway of all those?
I mean, they're competitive, right? Like every game, I'm sure, you guys as, guys who watch every single game, it's like they're in it, even though they're 4-6. Like 4-6 is not a good record, but you just do feel a little bit of momentum and just like the way they look, the way every fourth quarter feels competitive, and the way they pulled a few of these out too. I mean, I did think that Cavaliers win the other night after going down in the fourth, right? You could even feel the arena being like, it's Kings again. This is kind of what they do. And then they came back and won. Those are good early signs, I guess in the Mike Brown era.
There's two guys that we've talked about who I don't want to say like you give all the credit for, but they kind of stand out about at the very least keeping this team, afloat and keeping them above water after the 0-4 start. And one is obviously, in my opinion, the head coach, Mike Brown. He deserves a lot of credit for kind of keeping these guys together. And another guy that we've kind of looked at and seen kind of talk, especially after that Warriors game, is Malik Monk. After the Warriors game, he's like, hey, man, we're right here. We're not far away. And I always thought that was a message that was important to have in that locker room when they started slow, because I didn't think they were playing bad, but the record didn't show that. So do you kind of see the same thing being around these guys that Mike Brown and Malik Monk, have helped keep these guys together, after a real rocky start?
Yeah, I think like the lessons Mike Brown has been pushing are finally, showing in small ways. And when they do finally show, and particularly when they show in the win column, I just think there's more buy-in. I've been impressed with Monk. He to me got his career really on track last year with the Lakers, but it was hard to realize for a lot of people because that was a disaster in LA last year. Pretty much everybody else that they added is out of the league at this point. But he, like, just the juice he's bringing off the bench. And, Mike Brown has these like individual defensive metric stats that he uses, and he publicizes them in front of the team. He did it with the Warriors last year. Malik Monk, like, at least in the first month of the season, has been their best defender according to his rankings. I'm not sure eye test says that, but he's got some juice on the perimeter. He's staying in front of guys. He's had, those like pick six steals, different stuff like that. And he's scoring well. I think he was a great addition. And how a Herter? I mean, what's Herter? He's still like 51% from three. Like, that's not going to last. But he can do a lot more offensively than I think he was able to show in Atlanta.
You're wrong, like everybody else. Kevin Herter is going to hit half his threes all 82 games. That's just what's going to happen.
He's going to be an all-star. He might be in an all-NBA conversation.
You mentioned Malik Monk on the defensive end, and we were talking about how we're looking at your reading like, hey, yeah, the Kings still actually aren't very good defensively.
Yeah.
They're not as bad as they were last year, but they're not what a lot of us hoped that they would be this year, which is just not bad. But being 25th, that's still bad. Is that something? Is there evidence that it can improve, or is it really going to be the offense that's carrying this team to wherever they're going?
I mean, I do like some of the signs that you see, the small hints. Like, I think Fox has been more engaged defensively. I can remember the first few games, there's some like hustle back in the play. Even if at times he's going up to try to, block a shot in transition, he's committing a foul, but you're like, hey, you ran back. That was, that's an improvement. You saw, he kind of got benched the other night, I thought, because of how soft he was playing defensively in the middle portion of the game. And there was that one foul he had. I put it in the story, but it was on Love. He let Love run by him, then Love got a rebound, and he kind of just, bashed into him. It's the type of play Mike Brown hates. Mike Brown yelled at him. You saw Fox disappear, and Davion was out there hounding Donovan Mitchell for a 5-minute stretch. And I think, there's a lot of people like, hey, look, Fox has been your best player. Why is he not in? But it felt like a lesson, these small details that Mike Brown's trying to implement. And I did think Fox was better defensively down the stretch.
Yeah.
Still no rim protection. Second to last in the league in shot blocks. When they get to the rim, there's just nobody there to challenge it, right? He's gone away from a traditional big. It's Chimezi Metu is basically the backup big. Sabonis can't protect the rim. So there are limitations that I think we all knew, and it makes it so this is never going to be that. Surprisingly, it's the 12th ranked defense or something like that. Maybe, you probably got to be disappointed looking right now. And what are they, 24th or so? But at least it does seem like there's a defensive mindset seeping into the team, even if the numbers don't show it.
Anthony, we've talked a little bit about yesterday, and our producer Jesse brought up a point that I think I agree with. I'm wrestling with it right now, but he said yesterday, yo, this team, the way they've played this year in the first 10 games, when you look at the roster, they shouldn't be looking to settle for just the 9 or 10 seed. They should be looking to be a little higher than that. Some people may look on the outside and be like, you're 4-6. How can you say that? Like I said, I can understand that thinking. They haven't played a bad game yet, in my opinion. What do you think about that? Is that still a team that's on the bottom of the play-in, or do they have the possibility to be a little better than that?
Yeah, I mean, the West is so unsettled right now. I'd say their only bad game, the Memphis game at home, I thought they were going to come out with a little bit more desperation. But since then, the last 6 have been good. You want to aim. I mean, any team that wants to make the playoffs, like aim for the 6 because you want to avoid the play-in. But you have to start naming teams that they're leaping, though. They're leapfrogging.
Minnesota might kill each other.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There's one.
Minnesota,
The Lakers,
away.
Yeah. What's concerned, if you're the Kings and before the season you were looking at 4 tanking teams and Portland, LA in that range. Well, Utah, who I thought was going to be tanking, is the 1 seed right now. That would concern me if I'm the Kings. Portland looks good. They're going to be in that muddled mix, and the reality is this does seem like the type of conference this season with a level of parity that the 6 seed, let's say, might win 48 games, and the 10 seed might win, 41, 42 or something like that. So you're not talking about that big a difference between 10 and 6. And then where to me they're going to have to show a lot more growth is you're going to have to sneak in a couple late game wins that, they should have beat the Warriors Sunday, like win that game. Like those are the type of games that can separate you into the tier you're talking about. And I'm not saying just because they lost that game, they won't win those going forward, but those are swing matchups right there that you got to win. When you control the whole game, you can't lose at the end like that.
We'll see them Sunday at the Warren G. Looney's concert. But the Warriors, is that a team that's going to, is it crazy to think they won't get it together?
The underlying metrics on their starting lineup and the players that matter the most are still very good, right? Their starting lineup still dominates, and that's the starting lineup that won the title last year. Jordan Poole has had a really bad first few weeks, but I think he's proven. He was good in the playoffs last year, so I think he'll get it together. Clay will shoot better. They'll stabilize enough to where I don't think they're going to be play in or even out of the playoffs. I do concern myself playoff-wise. I don't know that they're going to find enough depth to repeat because they let their depth walk away and are trying to promote their young guys, and their young guys just don't look ready or good enough. And that's the big issue with them right now. Is they're searching for combinations that aren't there because they don't have the right guys for those later bench combinations. But you saw it in the Kings game when Steph Curry wants to put his foot down in a regular season game, he can kind of still do that. And when it comes down to it, that's what I think will get them to the playoffs at least.
By the way, before we let you go, just a round of applause for your planning of that trip to Miami. Because once we realized what was going on, we just envisioned how Anthony Slater sold this to the higher ups at the Athletic. I could cover the Warriors out in Florida. I could cover the Kings out in Florida. Guys, I got this.
Oh yeah. 4 November days in Miami when it's 82 degrees. It was I appreciate Adam Silver and whoever, the NBA schedule person that puts in all the statistics. I appreciate whoever put that there.
They need to do it every year.
That was well done, my friend. That's Journalist of the Year award type stuff. That's well done.
I appreciate that. hopefully there's an LA, 2-week period coming up or something.
Anthony, we appreciate you as always, man. Great work. I'm sure we'll see you at the arena in the coming days, man. Thank you.
All right, fellas. See